really out of ideas for talking shit this week, but one thought struck me. I've been reading a bunch of books, and one of them, I just read some murder mystery from a few years ago that got all these amazing reviews and sold millions of copies, and has had all the famous authors write blurbs on the back. And I read it and I thought, wow, this is really overwritten. It's really obvious where it's going. 85 to 90% of it, I could guess what was going to happen. It just felt like this is so shit. So I was thinking, and I reckon, I don't know, anyone listening to this would probably relate, that you'll often see a piece of art or a book or something that's given so much praise, and you'll go, what the fuck? How the fuck did that happen? I almost feel like it's your duty, if you ever experience that feeling, it's almost your duty to go out and make art. As soon as you see something that's a bunch of different things that get all this crazy praise, I feel like that's how low the bar is set in culture, that something can be regarded as an absolute pinnacle. Then I feel like that's almost your calling then, to go out and, okay, go and do it better. Go and fucking write it better. I really do feel like it's almost your duty to go out and write something better. If you see something that's given heaps of praise and you know it's shit, your heart can tell it's shit, you can sniff it. It's your duty to go out and write something better. And there's so much shit art these days because of the times we're living in, that story has taken sort of backseat to other motivations. So it's almost an unbelievable time to be an artist. And I kind of hope that this weird culture doesn't end. As much as I hate it, it's like selfishly good for me, because it's easier than ever to say real things. And I kind of feel like also in saying that 10 years ago, the dream might have been to publish a book through a publisher or make a movie through a studio or something. But now those gatekeepers have been removed, which is amazing. And so we can make our own stories. The trouble is, those gatekeepers have been replaced with self-censorship gatekeepers. And you might not need a Penguin or an Allen and Unwin now, but now your brain has been, I can't say that, or I couldn't do this. And so now the gatekeepers are ourselves. So all you've got to do is be a little bit courageous, put yourself out there and say something real, just real. And in some ways I feel like I used the 9 to 5 as a Trojan horse to comment on the wider culture, because like 9 to 5 a lot of work cultures adopt government policies, and government policies are adopted often these days by lobby groups, and so those lobby groups are directly affecting businesses. So by being able to take on the 9 to 5 in that book that I just wrote, what's it called, Working 9 Lives, I felt like I was able to take on the wider culture in a sort of semi-subversive way. I could explain what it's like to be just the meaninglessness and the bullshit of our wider culture through the microcosm of the 9 to 5. So there's always a way to get past your own self-censorship in some ways, and there's tricky and interesting ways to do it. And I guess that's why I also love horror movies as well, how they've often... I remember hearing in my 20s, this horror movie is actually a social commentary on blah, 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 and it's actually commenting on... And I used to think, what a load of shit, it's just scary, who cares? But then, yeah, slowly, as I got older, I went, okay, that's a direct look on this social bullshit issue that's going on at the moment, or it's that social issue. So yeah, horror movies have always been traditionally an amazing Trojan horse to comment on current shit. But horrors and fear is a timeless feeling. I love the idea that the old dream's kind of dead, which is get into a big publisher or something. And now the battle is with ourselves. If we can get past our own bullshit that we've been brainwashed within our heads, or improvise with some sort of Trojan horse to sneak interesting ideas and be able to preach to the unconverted. Because we've taken sides these days, everyone's just in their little bubble preaching to the converted. And so I love, through the 9 to 5, I was able to say shit that I probably couldn't get away with saying exactly the same vibe and energy in a very direct way. And maybe I think that I'm being more subversive than I really am. And weirdly, a lot of people saw it as anti-capitalism, and some people also read into it as pro-capitalism and individualism. So I got people reading it into it from both sides, which I found fucking fascinating. When really I'm just as naive and dumb as it might sound. I'm just talking directly from the heart. And in a lot of ways, that the anger towards the current culture, I almost redirected it into the jobs. Like, I almost felt like, oh, Darby, you're getting a bit too angry, a bit too kind of cynical at the 9 to 5. But it was kind of a misdirected anger against larger stuff in some ways. Anyway, I'd love to write a horror movie one day, but I feel like I need to be struck by lightning. It's not something that I can just sit down and work at and something happens, but then maybe I'm just kidding myself. But I've always wanted to write a kid's book too, but I know that weirdly, I feel like I've been waiting for a lightning strike for that as well. Anything else, any other sort of genre, all the stuff that I've written, it never felt like it needed a lightning strike. But horror movies and kids' books, for some reason, I feel like they need to get under our skin. They share something in common, horror movies and kids' books, in that they need some kind of stroke of genius. And I'm patiently waiting around for that to happen. And I don't know if it'll ever happen, but yeah, some of my favourite kids' books and horror movies weirdly share that. They have that, just some weird thing that they tap into something beyond all the award-winning adult books, beyond anything that I've ever written. And so, yeah, whatever that stupid thing is, yeah. And it has to be something really dead simple. Like, at the moment, the idea I've got is I'd love to do something with night and day, light and dark, whatever that is, but take them out of context and fuck with them. Like there was a short horror movie some New Zealander made years ago, and it was a guy working on his house. He was working on it out in the afternoon and the day, and then he walked back through to the end of his house out the back, and it was nighttime. And then he walked back into the front of his house, and it was daytime. So I love that shit. And Blair Witch Project, there was, I think, the second one or something, and how it ended up being an endless night. Anyway, I'm talking shit, but I love the idea of either writing a horror movie or a kid's book, preferably a horror movie though. Anyway, I'd love if you left a review on Spotify or Apple and those up the top. It all helps to for being an independent artist and stuff. Ta.